I can hear what you're thinking.
Can you? Can you hear what I'm thinking?
All your doubts and fears.
Wait, what is that actually?
And in time, your time will be no more. It's the song in the movie.
Yeah, but like, who is it by? Like
Mark Colley? Yeah, Mark Colley.
Oh, it's the song that he sings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The assassin.
It has a similar vibe to another song what you were just singing, but
It's actually on my Spotify.
interesting.
Yeah,
Cool.
I've liked that song for a long time.
Well, that wasn't the intro that I was thinking about.
What was the
Did
intro
you
you were
just
thinking
I
about?
was going to talk about me getting lost in side quests of video games.
What video game?
I'm just having fun replaying Final Fantasy IX on the Switch right now.
Oh.
And last night, after I'd done everything and went to my bedroom, just like playing my Switch and watch some TV and whatnot, I just ended up I was like, oh yeah, the Chocobo Forest. Oh, I remember this mini game. And then 2.5 hours later, I'm like, oh, I should actually play the story.
To me, that's a sign of a good video game, though, if you get lost in the side quests.
Yeah, there's a lot of weird mini games, and like there's a card mini game, the Chocobo Quest mini game. There's a jump rope thing. There's Final Fantasy IX is crazy good for PlayStation 1. Very underrated. Everybody seems like when it comes to like the Final Fantasies, everybody's like Final Fantasy 7, no Final Fantasy 8, no Final Fantasy 7, no Final Fantasy 8, and I'm like Final Fantasy 9. You don't.
I have no idea.
Yeah,
I have no reference point.
Yeah, you have no reference point.
None whatsoever.
Yeah, just
I can hear what you're thinking.
let's just do this.
This is Tommy.
This is Jacob.
This is Tommy and Jacob's mixtape. Welcome back.
This is punishment. I'll be known as the Punisher.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back. Welcome back to Tommy and Jacob's mixtape. As I said before, I'm Tommy. That's Jacob. Hello.
Who am I?
Jacob.
Where am I? Sorry.
You're in the basement.
He rubs the lotion on his skin or he gets the hose again. Sorry, guys. We might be a little distracted. Who knows?
I'm in a weird mood today.
It's all good. It's all good. And you know what? The energy is going to feed off and give me a weird mood, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, probably. So we are reviewing 2004's The Punisher, kind of going into our Marvel.
Yeah, we're finishing off it was before the MCU
Really,
took off. And I thought this one was later in that, like, towards the end of it.
Mm-hmm.
I have a list of, like, all the non-MCU movies just because I was curious. Like, right before Iron Man hit
When did
the
Iron Man
world.
come out?
2008.
Oh, really?
And that was the same year that they did Punisher Warzone, which is a weird reboot of this.
Yeah.
Which I don't think I've actually ever seen.
I've seen it. It's definitely, like, I guess comparatively, this Punisher has more heart as opposed to Warzone, because Warzone really is just like a shoot 'em up, bloody mess. Like,
That's
there's
fair.
not really, like, from what I remember, like a whole lot of plot to it. It's kind of just.
It's a war zone.
Yeah, like the title is. Yeah, it's in the title.
But then there's really because what I was hoping to do was like we do like the beginning Blade, and I thought we had chosen one that was more towards the end.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize that we're kind of like more in the middle.
Yeah,
but it's kind of like the last of like the decent before the downfall.
Yeah, and also like I thought it was weird too. This actually had that Marvel.
I wanted to look that up. Yeah, I wanted to see which one.
Blade didn't have
Blade
that.
didn't have that because it technically wasn't a Marvel property yet.
Yeah.
Well, Marvel Cinemas.
Yeah.
I think this one may have been one of the first actual Marvel Cinema.
Yeah.
And then probably like Hulk after that.
I was very shook when I saw that. I was like, oh.
Yeah.
Okay, like this is actually like a Marvel.
Because this was distributed by Artisan or Lionsgate, which was originally Artisan.
Yes.
There's a little bit of weird production history with this movie. But the final remnants of the non-MCU movies not including like X-Men Days of Future or First Class Days of Future Past, because I feel like that's post MCU where people like Marvel was like, oh, we need to actually like step it up, is Rise of the Silver Surfer and the first Ghost Rider.
Okay.
And then also Warzone as well, but yeah.
That'd be interesting.
And then a couple years later, Amazing Spider-Man comes out, and that's them rebooting Spider-Man. Yeah, it's Andrew Garfield's one. And Spider-Man. So it's like 2004, this, and Hulk came out. And then next year was like Spider-Man 3 and X-Men 3.
I wonder how that holds up.
Spider-Man 3?
No, Hulk.
Not good.
No.
It was playing on repeat when I was in Connecticut with David.
And it's just no.
Yeah, no, we were like watching like, wow, this is bad.
It's rough, right?
This is bad. Because I remember trying to defend that when I was younger, like thinking like, no, like the whole panel stuff is kind of cool.
I hated that. Yeah.
And I was like, no, it's like I was like it's them trying to add this aesthetic of comic books in Ang Lee.
Oh, Ang Lee, really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh. I was thinking like Michael Bay or something.
No. No, there's actually video footage of Ang Lee doing like the like acting as Hulk, and I think he kind of like he did some of the motion capture for it or something. I don't know if maybe he was just like doing it to kind of give the motion capture guy an idea
of what.
But like it's like Ang Lee's like,
Ang Lee, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Anywho, we're not talking about Hulk.
Learn something new every day.
We are talking about The Punisher from 2004, which premiered April 12th in 2004, and then it's a full release across the world not across the world, but the United States was April 16th. And it was number 83 domestically, box office wise, number 94 worldwide. It wasn't as big as a hit as Blade. The only it was Spider-Man and X-Men were kind of like the fireworks. Well, post Blade, I would say.
Yeah, it also, I don't know. I mean, that kind of makes sense to me, at least. We're like comic book fans and everything. Yeah. But like Punisher is.
He's a lesser known,
kind of off the beaten path.
Yeah, kind of like Blade. So it was still successful. Like it opened up the same week. Oh, I'm forgetting what against, but it was like number 2 in the box office. But like it's like opening weekend was pretty much it's like, oh, and that's the money it made type thing.
And then it just kind of fizzled out.
Yeah. So really quick for 2004, how many movies?
85.
Damn.
Yeah.
I was at 63.
80 fucking. I was like, and I double checked it too. I was like, there's. Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, yeah. That definitely a year for me.
Yeah. Fair.
Yeah. 80 fucking 5.
Oh yeah. So for its ratings, IMDb rating, it's got a 6.4. On Rotten Tomatoes, it's got a 29 tomato meter rating.
Damn.
Which I totally see why. And then a 63 audience score.
Well, okay. Like before we get into the end of it, do you like this movie?
Yeah. I think there's elements of it that like it's things that are fun with it. I think it's on par with Blade of just kind of like hokiness in it for a comic book movie. Like we are 6 years now from Blade, and like you can tell that some of like character and like thought for stuff has like been like presented. Like it's a well polished craft, but still it's missing it. This, especially with it being the Punisher, it was the best one that you could have like some of like most of the like gut wrenching heartfelt moments, and they somehow weren't able to get it fully. Oh, because I feel like a lot of it's contrived. Like there's just a lot of contrived moments in this, but there's like certain things where I feel like I can see, like one of the things that I read is like the writer was like kind of like taking a lot of inspiration from Shakespeare's Othello. And I totally see that. which is where I think that some of like the manipulation of what the Punisher does, what Frank Castle does is interesting and cool, you know?
Yeah, even then, that's such like a quick moment. I kind of wish they had.
That's a build up through that. It's like you don't know what he's doing until you see it happen.
Yeah, but it's like when it happens so boom, 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 like back to back. I mean, I guess that kind of works though. I guess also for people that don't know, what is this movie about?
Oh yeah,
mafia guy kills cop's entire family, cousins and all.
Ex-cop.
Yeah, ex-cop. Kills his
retired
cop kills his entire family, and we mean entire family, at a family reunion, and then he becomes a gun wielding vigilante.
Yeah,
I guess, right?
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah. A little long winded, but you know, also if you're coming off the top of your head, I'm not expecting gold
wit.
But yeah, let's get into like the writer and director and starring and whatnot, so and we can get into like the meat of our conversation. So yeah, this was directed by Jonathan Hensleigh, and he also wrote this.
Yes.
I would say like the lead writer, because the other writer seems to.
Weirdly, we have talked about him, but no one.
Jonathan Hensleigh or Michael France?
Jonathan Hensleigh.
Oh yes, yeah. And most of the stuff that he is directed, he is also wrote. He righted it.
He righted it,
and he
all the way to the park.
And they directed it of the movies.
Yeah, we did talk about him,
but nobody. We haven't released that episode.
I know. I just thought it was funny.
Yeah.
It's part of that simulation thing I was talking about earlier.
Oh, the simulation. Yeah. But like most famously, like writer and director. Oh, he didn't direct Jumanji though.
No, just writer.
Yeah. But he was writer and director on a movie called The Ice Road and Kill the Irishman. Did he direct Die Hard 3?
No.
My notes are kind of like
no, just wrote.
Okay.
Just wrote. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I guess like writer and director. I did them wrong. What notes do you have? Like,
okay, so like for directing a movie called Welcome to the Jungle. Like Kill the Irishman, like you said, but then a lot of writing, like Die Hard with a Vengeance, Jumanji, The Saint, Armageddon, Ice
Welcome
Road.
to the Jungle. Him just create. Was that it? He directed a movie called that, and then he got a writing credit for Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle.
Mm-hmm. Well, because it's based off the characters that he wrote.
Yeah, I know.
Jumanji.
Just find it funny. Like he has like 2 writing credits of Welcome to the Jungle.
Yeah.
That's okay.
And then a few episodes of Young Indiana Jones.
I didn't look at it, but I feel like he was like kind of like one of the creators of Young Indiana. Maybe not the creator,
but like one of the minds behind it.
Yeah, I forgot to look in that, but just like seeing that he was like a director on pretty much all the Young Indiana stuff, or a writer with all the Young Indiana stuff.
Yeah,
like I feel like if not, he wasn't the creator, he was part of the fucking creative process.
Yeah.
You know?
And then I guess with actual like writers, Punisher was created by Gary Conway in 1974. First introduction was Spider-Man number 129.
Kramer has a fucking comic.
Yes, he does. I forgot about that.
Oh, that comic's so bad.
And it was initially an adversary of Spider-Man that was like an assassin type.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of weird. Actually, like Blade and Punisher have kind of a weird, similar,
yeah.
Like origin, not like a introduction.
Ish. One has his entire.
I'm just thinking of the animated show. Never mind.
I was like,
quote that.
I'm like, not
really?
Because
because the animated show, doesn't he show up to New York thinking Spider-Man's a vampire, and then he meets Morbius, and
that's Blade.
Yeah, in the show, right?
Yeah, but and then Punisher, in the show, yeah.
Okay, I'm crossing wires.
Yeah, because then Punisher in the show, he just thinks Spider-Man is, a bad guy.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm gonna fucking kill you. And Spider-Man's like, what the fuck's your problem, bro?
Yeah, it's like, you're a bad guy. But yeah, like some other characters that Gary, like kind of like with Blade 2, Gary Conway is credited for like Power Girl, John Jameson, who becomes like a werewolf spaceman thing.
Space Wolf?
Yeah, Space Wolf, right? Space Wolf, something like that, right?
I don't know.
Okay.
I just said that as a joke.
No, that's actually like, it's Jonah Jameson's kid. He becomes like a wolf man.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I remember this weird story arc. And like Killer Croc, Red Hood, Firestorm.
Oh, he created Killer Croc, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and Red Hood.
Mm-hmm. So, an OG comic book person.
Hell yeah.
It's amazing how many times they like like, and it makes sense, but writers like dipping their feet in between Marvel and DC. Like,
yeah, well, they probably like just they worked for one company for so long, and they were like, I'm fucking over this place. I'm going over to Marvel. Fuck you guys. And Marvel's like, fuck you. I'm going over to DC now.
But from the like list too, I think he started in Marvel and then went over to DC.
Yeah,
because like Red Hood and
yeah,
like older.
Well, was Marv Wolfman sound like he did? Oh, and went from Marvel to DC.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. That'd be interesting. Actually, like kind of map that out.
Well, it's like kind of weird. I don't know, because in my and I'm sure that someone that hears this is going to be pissed by this statement, but it's like I feel like Marvel is more. DC has always been the darker of the two.
Yeah.
So I feel like as you get older, you're going to want to do more. Well, I mean, I guess it's different
aesthetically, now. DC has always appeared to be a little bit more grittier.
Mm-hmm.
I would say a little bit darker in a way. But Marvel, I think, found heart and first.
Yeah.
Because
I would agree with that.
Because like especially like Tony Stark's Devil in the Bottle. I mean, that's like I want to say an 80s storyline, or maybe even earlier than that. They're dealing with alcoholism in Iron Man.
Yeah, but I think it's also like, I mean, even if you take like Red Hood as an example too, like the origin of Red Hood.
Well, yeah, but
he's beaten to death with a crowbar and blown up.
Well, that was like the first time. We're really getting sidetracked here. Just really quick thought though. It's like I think it was like 1985 or was it 84 when they did the vote for Robin saved or killed, and everybody votes to kill Robin, and so the Joker beats Robin to death with a goddamn crowbar. And then it isn't until like a decade later that he comes back as Red Hood, and that's not until the 90s.
Yeah.
So, anywho, let's get back on the track here with the Punisher.
Okay, yeah, and with the Punisher too, just based off 2 comic books, Punisher Year 1 and Welcome Back, Frank.
Yeah. There is another writing credit.
Oh yes, Michael
France, who I think it's interesting because he doesn't have a lot of writing credits, and it seems like I looked him up. It seems like he started to kind of like do some stuff throughout Hollywood, and then he just bought like an Egyptian theater type thing, and like started running that with his family, and so. Like he was a projectionist, and then he went to film school, and then it was just like
made full circle.
Yeah, and just like it just had a place to like show like independent films, art films, new movie, But he has writing credits with GoldenEye, Hulk, Fantastic Four, and Cliffhanger. Yeah, I thought like Cliffhanger seems to be like the beginning of it for him. And then like it's interesting he has writing credits on 3 of the non-MCU Marvel movies.
Yeah. Well, and then I did a deep dive too. I'm like, were you like a comic book writer or like something like kind of like with Blade and stuff? Nope. I
think it was just kind of a weird niche that he fit into for action movies. Because GoldenEye. He also apparently.
That's Pierce, right?
Yeah, and he's uncredited for the sequel, or because GoldenEye is the first Pierce Brosnan one. The second one, No World for Tomorrow, is the second one, Pierce Brosnan one, and apparently he doesn't. Has uncredited writing stuff with that.
Interesting.
But yeah, also I think if I remember correctly, there's something with like the Writers Guild of America. No, I'm not going to go into that. Okay. I can't remember. I didn't make a note of it. I can't remember it off the top of my head.
Okay.
Anyway, so let's get into starring.
Scrap that.
Scrap you.
Took you way too long. Anyways, yes. So
didn't feel like that long. I feel like I said that pretty quick.
Thomas Jane is our Punisher, aka Frank Castle.
Wait, who is it that we said he looked like the other day? We were arguing. Did you say that he looked like Aaron Eckhart?
I think he reminds me of Aaron Eckhart.
And I said Clive Owen, right?
And you said Clive Owen.
Yeah, and then we put them all 3 next to each other.
We're like, wow, they all look really similar. Like, actually, they don't, but they do.
Yeah.
Like, it's a weird, like, they all look pretty, there's something about them that's very similar.
What is top 2 movies that come to your head with Thomas Jane, though?
The Mist and Crow 2, The City of Angels.
He's in Crow too.
Yeah, he's the dad.
Is he the Crow?
Yeah, he's the Crow.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't even see that in his list.
Yeah.
I think of Deep Blue Sea in The Mist.
I don't remember Deep Blue Sea. Weirdly, also talking about the simulation thing, he's in Gun.
I made a note of that because you were talking about that last week. Yeah, I was like, that's fucking weird.
That's what I'm talking. It was all day yesterday. I was just like, what is going on with this weird circulation of media? Yeah, he's a voice actor in Gun.
We're in it too. we're in the Matrix.
He's the dad in City of Angels, which I actually like that.
I think you would enjoy Deep Blue Sea. It has
Is it like a fucking shark movie?
Yeah,
Okay.
but it's they're
Smart.
Yeah, but they're actually because they've been doing like like stuff with them. But also with Samuel Jackson.
Doing stuff with
them. Look at me, come here, little sharky. Let me rub your finny.
You're describing movies I hate. Apparently, he's in The Predator, which I didn't know.
The Predator?
Yeah, I don't know which one that is.
That's the one with
Is that the one with the big predator?
Adrian Brody. That's Predator you're thinking of. Oh, wait, no, The Predator.
The Predator. It's like an orange.
There's Predator, Predator 2. Oh, so The Predator is the big one, yeah.
The tall.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 8-foot one.
Yeah. I really don't remember that movie other than...
I don't really remember it either.
I don't the things I want to say. I don't want to say. Anywho.
And I would say Dreamcatcher.
And I've never seen Dreamcatcher.
It blows my mind. I think you'd really like it.
You know, hey, dude, like, there's movies that I talk about that you haven't seen, like Deep Blue Sea, that I think you might actually enjoy.
No, I don't like shark monster shit.
It's not monster. I'm describing it badly, but I'm trying to tell you it has Samuel Jackson in it as well.
Sign me up. Lake Placid bullshit.
Lake Placid's fucking great.
No, it's not. Anyways, I guess then our villain would be John Travolta.
Podcast is over. Sorry.
John Travolta, who plays Howard Saint. It's fucking John Travolta. I don't know. Like,
he's kind of terrifying in this, actually.
he's a great villain.
Yeah.
He's a really good villain.
Although it does kind of feel like the same villain from Face Off, but...
Well, it's like, it's weird too, because like, I don't really notice it until this movie. He's kind of squeaky. Like when he's yelling at people, his voice gets like really high, which I don't remember him in Face Off doing. But when he's like yelling, he's really like, yeah, like up there. Like, no.
John Travolta, whoa!
Yeah, you know, I don't know. Am I crazy that like feel that? I don't know.
Go, Grease Lightning!
I just imagine Howard saying, breaking up. And everyone all, you okay, Howard? Sorry.
Yeah. Grease, Pulp Fiction. He has 86 acting credits on IMDb.
I thought he would have more.
I did too. I think it's just like he became such a big name in the late 70s and he kind of dwindled away in the 80s. And then his resurgence in the 90s, and then he did Battlefield Earth.
Well, you know, I told you I play the game with like Fallon. I'm like, John Travolta, first movies that come to mind.
Yeah.
She goes, Saturday Night Live. I was like,
You mean Saturday Night
I was
Fever?
like, Saturday Night Fever. She's like, oh yeah. I was like, he might have been in an episode of Saturday Night Live, very possibly.
I think he probably hosted.
Well, yeah, you're probably not wrong about that.
You want to Look Who's Talking's coming out?
Oh yeah, that was hers. What?
Look Who's Talking?
What about it? Is it a new one?
No.
Oh.
No, like when...
I got really excited.
Damn.
I love that's like one of my favorite films. Did you not know that? It's like
I know, like, we've talked about it before.
I love that.
No, it was just like when he hosted SNL. It was like, I don't know, when I'm thinking of a comedy movie. He would host SNL.
Why? Yeah, something that came out. Yeah. Look Who's Talking.
Yeah. Do you want to just do a quick shout out to the
rest of them? Yeah.
I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
I have 4 more.
Why don't you do yours?
Will Patton, who plays Quentin.
Yep.
Most recently, the Halloween series, he plays the cop.
That's right. Yeah. He's recognized. He's one of the. We always say this recognizable face type guy.
Yeah, Yellowstone.
Yeah.
And then I had Rebecca Romaine or Romaine Stamos at this time.
Was she credited as Romaine Stamos in this? I forgot to look
in
that
this.
up.
Yeah, she was.
Yeah, that's
so
when
she was with
still,
Stamos.
Still married to John Stamos. Yeah.
Who plays Joan? Mystique from X-Men, which is
she's a famous model.
Yeah,
she's gorgeous.
Yeah, she again another Marvel property. She plays Mystique. Doesn't talk much in that movie.
No.
Ben Foster, who I love. I love Ben Foster. 310 to Yuma, Hostel.
30 Days of Night.
Holy shit, he is in that.
Yeah, he's like one of my favorite roles in that.
That's a great vampire movie.
I think I own it.
I rewatched that not too long ago, and that still stands out. That was really good. That's a great movie.
Yeah.
It's a great, it's tense. It's really tense.
The vampires in it are pretty cool, too.
They're cool, yeah.
Yeah, they're vicious.
Yeah. I remember when that came out, I hated it. And then
Really?
and then I watched it again as an adult, and I was like, what am I talking about? This movie's sick.
It could have been just like your friend group, like, that movie was so stupid, and you're just like,
no.
I
think at the time, I think I know what it was. At the time, I still had the romanticized vampire I liked like Interview. Like I liked them being turmoiled humans.
Did you actually like Twilight then? For a
Not
little bit?
really.
Okay.
No. Because I don't know. Again, like I liked
That's you're describing that.
I liked like the gothic. The
Okay.
gothic vampire is what I really liked, and these were just like monsters, and I didn't really.
Yeah.
I was like, it's basically a zombie movie, and I don't know. But anyways,
Yeah, because they don't really have much depth other than like
no,
I want to feed.
Yeah, but like now I'm like, this is sick. And then I had Laura Herring.
Laura Herring.
Yeah, it was John Travolta's wife. I remember I have this weird memory of her being in Doritos commercials back in the day.
She is beautiful.
She's gorgeous.
When she like takes off the dress, I was like,
hello.
mm-hmm.
All right, who else did you have?
I also put down Samantha Mathis, who plays Castle's wife.
Oh yeah, okay.
And
I didn't really recognize her.
she's a Daisy in the Super Mario Brothers movie.
Oh, she really?
Yeah. And a couple other things. And then I did put John Pinette, who is the other neighbor, the other
the
comic
bigger guy?
relief. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
a stand-up comedian.
Oh, is he?
Who passed away in the last decade, I want to say.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it was.
The one that.
Yeah. And his comedy is pretty funny too. And then also Eddie Jemison, who plays the guy that gets poked with a popsicle stick.
Oh yeah, I didn't even think about putting him down.
Which
He's kind of like pivotal, weirdly.
Yeah, he's very
not.
No, he's a key player for Castle's like plan and whatnot, and like he's probably honestly most recognizable for being in the Ocean's movies. He's like he's like their like a guy on like the eyes on the inside type guy.
Yeah,
he's always watching the cameras and setting him up. He's like a tech guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, his just how quickly he.
I guess that's pretty much everybody, right?
More or less.
I mean, the big.
I mean,
two.
there's who plays Frank's dad. He's the main guy in Jaws.
Oh yeah, that is him. Okay, yeah. But it's like even with all these people like in this movie, like a lot of them don't really have that much screen time.
No, it's really just
like boom.
It's really just Thomas Jane. Oh, Kevin Nash, who plays the Russian.
Oh yeah.
Like,
did we talk about him in Longest Yard or no?
We brought him up in the Longest Yard, because he's taking
yeah.
the estrogen. He's like, my nipples.
Why are we talking about your nipples? We're not. Just keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, no, because he's also Super Shredder in TMNT 2, Secret of the Ooze.
Is that who's Super Shredder?
Yeah,
really.
I've brought this up to you before.
I'm sure you have.
Yeah. Well, no, that's Kevin Nash. Strangely, has like a small little career in Hollywood.
Huge.
Yeah, he was one of my favorite wrestlers.
He's huge.
He's like 6'9".
Thomas Jane isn't. He's not a small man.
No,
and he was towering over him. I was like, this can't be real.
No, that's how big Kevin Nash is.
Fucking huge.
He's giant.
He's a giant.
Yeah.
Yeah, just casually breaking through drywall, and I'm like, I believe it.
His finishing move was called the jackknife power bomb. You know what a power bomb is?
Sure.
So it's like you have them like head in between the legs, and you pick them up.
This is the weirdest porn I've ever heard of.
Yeah. He like kind of flip them up to where they're like like feet over your shoulders and slam them down. And so he's 6'9", and slams down with all of his force.
That weirdly made me gag.
Yeah, dude, it's vicious,
dude. Like that's like one of the best scenes.
And he would do that to people that were like 6'5".
That's like that's like the best scene of this entire movie.
The Russian
fight.
Yeah.
It's just great.
It's so good. Like,
it's
and also
so good.
Kevin Nash he doesn't have to say anything. The way that he just looks, he's just so like he plays it so well.
It's like funny. But
yeah,
I was like sitting there. I was like, is this supposed to be funny? Because this is making me laugh.
The counterpoint with like the opera.
Yeah.
And he's getting his ass beat. But like apparently, Thomas Jane actually did stab Kevin Nash.
Oh, okay.
The stunt choreographer accidentally forgot to like exchange the prop knife, and so Thomas Jane stabbed Kevin Nash in the shoulder with a blunted fucking knife, and Kevin Nash didn't even skip a beat, just kept going through the scene.
It makes me so scared. That makes me really like my balls just went into my chest. It's terrifying.
I mean, also I do like you don't really follow the wrestling world, but my heart right now goes out to Kevin Nash. He lost his son about a month ago, and he's right now in a very dark place. Like there's actually been
what happened?
I forget exactly how his son passed away. I can't remember if it was. I don't think he took his life, but it was it was unexpected.
That's it.
Yeah, and Kevin Nash, like on podcasts, you can tell his like demeanor is completely different.
Yeah,
and like they've had like because of some comments he made on a podcast about like mentioning about like like holding a gun in his mouth type thing, that like people like from that podcast, like he's had like checkups from like local police.
Oh, like wellness checks.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
yeah.
shit.
So my heart goes out to Kevin Nash with where he's going through, and I hope he can get through it.
I don't know. I just,
we could.
you were so this sad derail.
Sad derail.
And that's who's starring in this movie.
Sorry. I mean, it's just I don't know.
No. I know.
Well, you want to move into reviews? Yeah, that was a long pause.
I didn't know what to say.
You could have just been like, yeah, all right.
I did. It was okay. Anyways, yeah, Tommy's Corner for reviews. This is all right. Normal segue.
Jesus Christ.
Okay. All right. So on Metacritic, there are 5 positive, 15 mixed, and 16 negative.
Damn.
Yeah.
How many positive?
5.
Wow.
So for positive, 75 out of 100. Peter Travers at the Rolling Stone. Among the recent spate of comic book movies from Spider-Man to X-Men, The Punisher is unique. And I only picked that one because of the fact that we had there was kind of like a lot of this stuff coming out. And if you compare to Spider-Man and X-Men, because I mean, you have Spider-Man, which is the
but it's weird to say, is like in comparison to like what's coming out today, it's really not a lot.
What?
It's not a lot of superhero stuff.
Oh yeah, I mean, well, think about it. For 10 years, we were saturated.
No, I'm saying like in comparison to what we have today, going back to 2004, this isn't a lot.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I get it.
We had Blade and the Blade franchise going, X-Men and the X-Men franchise going, Spider-Man and the Spider-Man franchise going, and now we have Punisher. I think maybe Batman Begins had come out around the same time as well, but there's no Superman. Maybe Superman Returns hit 2004.
Yeah, 2004. I think that's
when Batman Begins came out.
That sounds right. 2003, something like that.
Yeah. So like there's not a huge saturated market yet.
Yeah.
So like this person, I mean, like with a lot of this coming out, it's like
wait. Hold
my beer.
You ain't seen shit yet.
Kevin Feige's just like wait, okay. Kevin Feige's an executive producer on this.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah, I saw that.
But yeah, it's like, I mean, I don't know. No, what this kind of like makes me think of, and I think I've talked to you about it. I don't know if I've talked about it on here, but remember, I saw Assassin's Creed, and I was like,
yeah.
For if you take the Assassin's Creed out of it, it's a fun assassin movie. That's kind of what Punisher is. It's like if you take out the Marvel aspect and you just think of it as like a revenge movie, it's kind of fun. Like,
I actually kind of feel like this does fit well with the Punisher. Now that was like another time seeing it again. Like I've seen this movie a couple of times. Like this isn't my first rodeo.
It's honestly, it's probably one of my favorite OG Marvel movies.
Yeah,
because it's a fun revenge movie.
Yeah,
and it's violent, but it's
for
not.
Its time. I think it's the Punisher that the world needed, not that it deserved yet. Sorry, I just kicked my camera too.
But yeah, it's like I don't know, like even like my voice went up some octaves right there.
Why are you always picking on me, guys?
Like I like Thomas Jane as Punisher. I thought he was a good Punisher.
He was actually, he didn't want to play the Punisher at first. He was offered the role like 2 or 3 times before he
finally caved.
Until they were like, they brought him like pictures because he didn't know who the Punisher was.
Yeah.
And they brought him like the illustrations of the Punisher from the comics, and he's like, huh. And then he did research, and he's like, oh yeah, no, this sounds like good. It's interesting.
I really hated his dialogue.
That's the script.
Whenever he talked, I was just like, can you
also
shut up?
The memories.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking
about.
No,
I was saying the thing. I was like, what is with like the broken down hero that has to change his voice to I am a broken man now.
I'm Batman.
Where are the other drugs going?
You're gonna have to turn that shit down. like, Jesus.
Yeah, no, it's not.
Yeah, the peaked so hard. Okay. All right, getting back to the reviews. Let's see, where did he? Okay, so for mixed, 60 out of 100, Kenneth Turan at Los Angeles Times. The rare comic movie that actually feels like a comic book, which turns out to be mostly, but not entirely, a good thing.
Yeah. I really like that review.
Yeah, it's a comic book ass feeling movie, but there are moments you're like, you could have done better.
Yeah, yeah.
Like you could have.
This character could have had,
something,
a third dimension.
Yeah, like they could have done anything.
Like, wow.
Well, even like with Rebecca and Thomas Jane, it's like that whole thing that drives.
I'm not what you're looking for.
Yeah, the like we love each other. No, you don't. You want to fuck.
Yeah.
Like that's all.
Yeah.
He's a project.
No, it's like she's like, always find the one man that is gonna like be the worst for me. It's like he's not gonna be much better for you. Like he's a broken man himself that wants to murder people.
I'm like, yeah, he's a sociopath killing people. Like abusive or the murderer. Like which one do you want? Like I don't know. Like but again, that's the 2000s. Like
yeah,
it's just it is.
That was a romanticized idea.
Yeah. Yeah.
There goes my hero. Watch him as he goes.
25 out of 100. Wesley Morris at the Boston Globe. The movie is grim and grave as the comic book, but it lacks atmosphere. It's often illogical and drubs you numb with its single dimension, noisy retribution.
Damn, that's really accurate.
That's
too.
100%. Like
that was one of my big notes. Like this movie is so one dimensional. The characters are one dimensional.
Everyone in it is just one dimensional.
Yeah.
But even saying that though, that's kind of what that's what I'm going in expecting. Like I'm sure now, I mean, I haven't watched it yet, but I am very, very interested because I was sitting there thinking about it. I was like, because like Fallon was asking me questions about the Punisher, and I was like, I'm actually not really well versed in Punisher lore and she was like, really? And I was like, yeah, now watching this, I'm very surprised by that because I love this kind of character. Like Red Hood, for the greater good.
You would love the Punisher series.
That's what so I'm gonna go back and try and watch that.
John Berthenol is also like hands down like one of the best casted people for it as well.
Well, I told her, I was like, oh, do you know on like Disney there's like a Punisher series? And she was like, oh, that's interesting. I'm like kind of into it. And I was like, yeah, Shane is because I didn't know his name.
Yeah, but it's originally Netflix though.
Yeah, but now it's on Disney.
Yeah.
But I was like, no, Shane's Punisher. And she like whipped around. She was like, really? I was like, yeah.
She likes him.
Yeah, she does. She's like, it's like so weird. She's like, I want to see him as a psychotic killer. I was like, is that what?
He's not really a psychotic killer. It's more of a man dealing with PTSD.
Oh yeah, I mean, so is this.
Yeah, but they don't really explore that in this movie
because it's one dimensional.
Yeah,
but I mean that's what he's like.
That's one of the biggest. Oh, it's not just. Well, I mean, is
it the same in the show?
No, sorry, it's not just the PTSD of him losing his family. He's also dealing with PTSD of his time in the show. It's Iraq War.
But it's the same concept. Some mafia dude wipes out his entire family.
More or less, it's like the Punisher's origin is always rooted in someone or some affiliate taking out his family.
Get the fuck out of here. He's a superhero that has his origin in tragedy.
Yeah, imagine that.
Fucking what? Get the fuck out of here.
It's either your parents are going to get murdered when you're a child or you're going to lose your wife and kids.
Or your children are going to get murdered. I mean, that whole scene on the pier is still like, that's... actually, it's heart-wrenching.
Dude, yes.
Oh God, what are you gonna say? I'm so curious.
It made me realize I never noticed this, but like the truck drives down and then runs them over.
Uh-huh.
Where the fuck did the truck just go? And then you look up, and then the truck is back.
They did like a U-turn on this pier. Somehow.
On this pier that literally has almost no room for a truck to even drive on. I'm like, where is this? What is it? The magical villain bus? Like, God damn it.
The magical villain bus. I like that. That's gonna. We're adding that to the podcast lexicon.
The magical villain.
Magical villain bus.
Like, fuck, dude. I was like, no, in this moment where I was like, you know, if you're not really thinking about it, and since I'd seen this movie so many times, yeah, I was like, oh, it's where like this is, they have, you know, he's about to lose his family. But I was just like little like inconsistencies where I'm like, I never noticed that before. Like,
well, like you said though, like you've said countless times at this point, audiences are getting smarter
and smarter. Yeah.
So you're like noticing, but like, well, because then like you said, like I mean, it's just because the quality of stuff now, is crazy.
Yes.
The attention to detail that these, because you know, I think there's like a sense of pride in it. It's like, no, I want it.
Well, and like a lot of the attention to detail and things like this have started to like come through. Like, I think like the golden age of television really, really like pushed this forward. Like Breaking Bad, I think kind of changed. Even how people approach movies, like how.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you can, because that's the thing too. Is like if you look at an AMC series, and you're like, wow, this is incredible.
Like this is better than fucking most
movies. Yeah, like look, The Last of Us. It's like that new episode. Holy shit! Like it got. I was like.
I was weeping in my bed,
and it was also like that. The episode was only like what, an hour? What, 45 minutes an hour, right? That's how long the episode was.
About like 50.
Yeah. But it felt like a 3-hour movie because of the amount of like storytelling they were doing. It's like you sat through an entire drama about these men's lives and their time together. You know, like I remember looking at the clock being like, how long was that? Oh, that was only an hour long. That felt like an eternity, but in a good way. You know, you're really invested.
And then like you got this movie that's 2 hours long,
which it didn't fucking have to be.
Also, I don't know what fucking. So when I sent you that text, I was like 2 hours 20 minutes. What the fuck?
Yeah.
On I don't know where like there's a director's cut or something, but Google says the movie is at 2 hours and 20 minutes.
Did you check if there's a post-credit scene? Were they doing that yet?
Oh no, there wasn't.
There wasn't. No.
Because I will let the credits roll because I wanted to hear the soundtrack.
Oh, that's a good soundtrack. But it's like, yeah, it's also like, but I mean, I guess it's not. I don't know. I guess it's not that bad because it doesn't actually really feel like 2 hours. I didn't feel like there was any really moment that it was just dragging. I mean, the beginning is kind of the slowest point.
Yeah, the beginning, the prologue of like, because they want to do that's one thing I will say is they do a decent job of building up this world of making you see how much Frank Castle loves his family.
Yeah.
So then when
he's a good dad.
Yeah,
he's not a bad dad.
When it's taken away from him, you kind of be like, yeah, fucking kill these people. You know, especially like when the Miss Saint's wife, Mrs. Saint, when she's like, wait.
Oh, Livian or
Liv, yeah.
Livs, whatever. I can't remember.
Livia. When she like at their son's funeral, she's like, wait, and the family too.
Well, that's an
kill everyone. It's like she's just as psychotic as him.
Well, that's what's also interesting too is like it being like, okay, so even the kid like dying, that's not Frank's fault.
Yeah,
he set up the bust, but then the kid pulled out a gun, and what is SWAT going to do if he pulled out a gun?
Also,
Frank never shot him.
Who was that bust supposed to be for? Was it supposed to be for Mick? Or was Frank Castle?
I don't know.
Was Frank Castle working for, like, was he trying to bust the Russians that he was working for?
I was really confused. I'm like, wait, what is the point of this?
Yeah, I was like, wait a second. Like,
I mean, I ate the carrot. I was just like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
Like,
well, apparently the beginning was supposed to be Frank Castle in dealing with some stuff in the Gulf War, but they couldn't get the budget enough for. Also, their budget was neutered for this for an action film. Most of the time they get like 35-40 million movies. They were only given most of the time it's like upwards like 80 million or something at this time, and they were only given like 35.
Yeah,
they were given like half the budget for like a big action movie. So like Jonathan,
that actually kind of makes sense why it was like slow, because there's really not that many action sequences. No, but it's a slow action movie.
It's more of it's almost narrative driven more.
Yeah, it really is, which is a bummer because the narrative's not that good.
No.
Because that's what Warzone is. Warzone is just fucking. You know,
but like it was originally he was supposed to like the original script is him in the Gulf War, and apparently the original script is going to be like 2 hours and 20 minutes as well. God, everybody making these long movies.
Like I was saying though, it's like interesting because it's like, so it's not really Frank's. It is objectively, but it's like Frank never actually pulled the trigger. Like Frank is the one that killed him. But then
also it's the kid's fault for freaking out pulling the gun, and
but then even
also
Howard,
the SWAT didn't have to fucking shoot the kid dead.
No, that's what they do though.
Yeah,
they go in with like, you're a threat. That's why if you're ever in like a hostage situation and the SWAT's there, just fucking lay down and put your hands there. Like don't don't, they're not, that's not what they're trained for.
Yeah.
They're like a last resort, like, shit's going down. But it's like, even like then too, it's like Howard, technically, it was the wife's idea.
Yeah.
But even something I really, really appreciated about this movie was Howard dying. It wasn't some like huge shootout with him. It wasn't like suddenly Howard was this black op trained sniper military dude. He was just a fucking dude. And he was
just a mafia
yeah,
mob
and
boss.
he just straight up gets murdered. And you're like, oh.
He's a mob boss who knows how to tell, like, who is intelligent and how to do his job and how to tell his cronies what to do.
It's Jack Nicholson's Joker. It's like he's not. I mean, I didn't particularly, but you know what I mean. It's like no, his thing is his extension of his men. Like of
Quentin and
Quentin and them. And then that whole breakdown was so. I love that.
Dude,
that saves this movie.
Well, also like what's really nice. And one thing it made me realize it at this moment was when Frank Castle has Howard Saint, as he's limping away at the very end, and it's kind of like coming down to almost like another like dual standoff.
Yeah,
it made me realize how much this movie has like a Western feel, like a Western motif.
Yeah,
going through it, and I was like, oh, that's actually really interesting. And then like looking at Jonathan Hensleigh in his writing is like, not only did he like want to base like this like tragedy of Howard Saint and like everything off of Othello and like this feeling like the Iago like betrayal, like it's not 100% Othello because of how that actually plays out, but he was watching movies like The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, and like he was watching westerns like get this feeling of like revenge, and I was like, damn dude, like, and I was like, it's like reading, I was like, I totally got that actually.
Well, there's also just something really cool about a non-Western movie having a Western feel.
Yeah.
Like even like Logan. Logan has a really Western feel to it, and there's just something cool about that.
It's the best way I can say. It's a modern Western,
Yeah.
Because like the amount of times that it is kind of like a dual standoff, or just like, you think back into Westerns, it's like, they would have that moment like, and then, pull out the gun. But then there would be like the hero or vigilante, whoever, like the sheriff or the bad guy who's trying to get their redemption and whatever Western story you're watching. They're also running around sneaking up and like shooting people in the back and, taking out the cronies.
What I think also that is like really attractive about that whole thing is that no one is ever that good.
Yeah.
There's never like like even like 3:10 to Yuma. Mm-hmm. It's like both Christian Bale and Russell Crowe have negative elements and positive elements, so you can always kind of see yourself in some way, shape, or form. Yeah. Like, oh, that's why he's like this.
Yeah.
You can kind of justify it.
No Country for Old Men.
Yeah. Like, and there's like something I think,
that's kind of so like 3:10 to Yuma. it is a modern Western, but I say that's a Western.
Oh no, I just mean.
Yeah, like I just want to really quick just clarify where my brain is at in delineating this as well.
Well, it's because it's like, especially with like The Punisher, for example, is you even like neither one of them are good men.
Yeah,
but it's like
but you're rooting for Castle.
But even then, you get where Howard's coming from because Castle killed his kid, so you're like, well, that's why he did this.
Yeah,
not saying it's justified, but you're like, well, yeah, he's pissed because his son's dead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but then he killed everybody.
Yeah, but it's always like a one-up, but it's like that's the Western thing.
Yes,
it's like no one's ever really a good guy or a bad guy. I think it just makes them very human.
Yeah, no, totally.
And you're like,
it's supposed to make them very human, and then sometimes they're not. This because they're also one-dimensional.
Yeah.
Like
because no one like. I mean, I'm sure there are, but like I fucking hate a Boy Scout like Superman. Until
Captain America. Yeah, well, Captain America has a little bit more depth to him.
But that's the thing is like over the years they've given them more depth and made them have a dark side, like Injustice, Superman goes fucking crazy.
Well, actually what's interesting is like, because like I want to say like Captain America really hasn't even much of a dark side. Captain America, he's such a Boy Scout that you see him learn the faults of his like
perfect ideology.
Righteousness or perfect ideology, and him have to bend his own will to like bend his own morality to find a way to like make it work,
Yeah.
But anywho,
I mean, but the fucking the whole blowing up the car thing with the Punisher sign, I literally said get fucked.
Oh yeah, what did I write? Flaming skull from Cars. Dumb.
That was terrible. And it kind of ends abruptly. Kind of just is like, oh, that's
well,
over.
there's a lot of just abrupt things in this. It's like when Frank Castle like wakes up on the shore, and then all of a sudden it's like, and then he's like, I'm gonna become the Punisher. You know, he finds the shirt in the sand with the skull, and it's like, what? You just find your superpowers here?
Well, that's
like,
yeah. There's also like this weird level,
and then
like,
all of a sudden, it's like he's in the fucking house or the apartment rundown building with what I can't remember Rebecca Main's character's name. Did Julia Joan? Yeah.
Well, it's also like it's like weird too. It's like so there's like this weird mysticism. It's like so is the Punisher like in this movie supernatural in some kind of way? And it's like no, he just refuses to die, I guess, from getting shot in the chest.
Yeah, right.
And
it's
thrown
like,
into the ocean.
and that healed pretty damn fast.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. There's like this weird, almost like unspoken mysticism to him, which you're like, okay,
it seems that way, but I don't think it was meant to be. It's just it's the eat your carrot, the comic book movie thing.
Like he's gonna. Yeah.
One of the things that like also just like to kind of like describe a good example of like what we mean by how all these characters are so one dimensional is none of them really have like a clear like arc of like they don't really come out the other side changed very much. Like Joan,
well, it's noisy retribution. That's all it is.
Pretty much. And like the closest thing is with Frank Castle is like I could tell that at some point they're like, oh well, if Frank can't like what like after he's killed Howard, like what does he want to do after that? And there's that really unsettling scene where he's about to kill himself.
Oh yeah.
You know, like trigger warning for people. Like he has like a gun in his mouth and he's like getting ready to do it. And then he's having these like flashes of like his wife crying, waving goodbye to him.
Like almost like he's seeing her on the other side.
Yeah.
Thing.
And it's like, you're like, it's like, it's kind of this, like, it feels like this contrived moment to make us feel as an audience member, like, oh, he's ready to move on. And then it holds on to that thing that Jones said, like, sometimes good memories can save you.
Yeah.
And then that's how he's changed. And
like, there's so many movies that would just do so much better if they didn't fucking force that shit down your throat.
Mm-hmm.
The love interest thing.
Yeah.
Like,
well, I could get like, you know, what's interesting, I will say, is this, like, the way that they've shot it made it seem like that Frank Castle was like fighting against these like feelings he might have.
Yeah.
But it's never said. To have her get an infatuation with him after, like, you know, him beating up the ex-boyfriend, you know, the hero complex thing. But even then, we don't really get much of like a more of a development from Joan to where she just becomes this like damsel in distress, just cheap like eye candy character, you know?
Yeah.
Like she doesn't, like, they don't spend time in creating, like, crafting her character outside of that. You know, and even as like Ben Foster's character Dave and
like I don't want to be like a dick, but she's also pretty terrible in this. She wasn't very good, like acting wise. But again, it's like, where's the dialogue to make you give a shit?
Yeah,
you know, like where it's like, yeah, okay. Even Fallon said something about it, and I was like, yeah, but what has she done to like make you give a shit? She hasn't done anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Because she's not.
If anything, it's like you have this sympathy. You have
character.
this sympathy towards her because she's this woman that always finds the wrong guy again. You know, it's like that's such a cliched, stereotypical character that even in the mid 2000s was kind of like running dry on.
I was gonna say it was already like kind of like what is the phrase beating
a dead horse.
Yeah, you know, it's just like, okay, we get it. Like,
yeah.
But also, I mean, even then too, like the whole man with the troubled past thing, that was also beaten to death.
Yeah.
Because even then, it's like, okay, fine. Like Frank is such a problematic character because also it's like, all right, fine, he gets revenge on the Saints for killing his family, but then he becomes like, who made you judge, jury, and executioner?
Yeah.
Why do you, because you have had trauma in your past, you get to decide this shit? Like,
I think there's also a big thing in just like, and this has always been a thing in like for artists in general. But it's kind of like when you have like a lot of just like money getting thrown at stuff and you just have producers just want to make money, the heart gets lost in a sense. Like there's, you know, there's like throw the project out there as like just we don't care just like how one dimensional it is, like it's gonna make money type thing. But then as we kind of keep reapproaching and re-looking at these projects and like things that we might want to redo, it's like, well, we can't just like rehash the same thing. As we approach this project, what can we do to make it fresh, make it new? What more can we learn from this, as people? So like there's very much in this realm. And I think that the 2000s, there was a lot of just like people not worried about like, well, what are we trying to gain from it other than money?
As an art piece.
Yeah.
Or
as
like
an
a message.
Yeah.
Like, what are we trying to,
Yeah.
Well,
and which like the 2000s in cinema history, I've heard from a lot of like filmmakers that like 2000s to even like the 2010s, like have some of the most like some of the most garbage movies ever made. Mm-hmm. They're soulless, heartless money grabbers.
Well, this kind of like also like I don't know. This kind of feels like in a vein to me like Constantine.
Yeah.
Where like I was saying about the Assassin's Creed thing, it's like take the Constantine out of it and just kind of look at it as like Constantine. It's an occult movie. It's not Constantine. Yeah. Like from the comics, it's like this whole new different thing with just the name slapped on there, but it's like a very different thing. And same thing with this Punisher.
Yeah,
it's
but
like,
also at the same thing, what is the Punisher other than just a revenge story? Like
that's what I'm saying. You just go into it with it's a revenge movie.
Well, yeah, but the Punisher itself is a revenge story.
Yeah.
Constantine itself is an occult movie.
Yeah, it's
so like you can take out the Constantine, you can take out the Punisher, but can you take the revenge out of the Punisher? Can you take the occult out of Constantine?
You mean my head hurt? So I had to burp.
That's why your head hurt, because you had to burp.
I had to burp.
All right, we're running a little
what
longer.
Time is it?
It's we're around like 56, but
okay.
Like no, I feel like it'd be best to just actually be wrapping
I
it
think
up.
we talked enough about it.
I think 2.5.
That's exactly what I was going to give.
It's about the same as Blade. I feel like this has a little bit more.
I think Blade's better.
Really, I think this is a little bit more polished than Blade.
I think it's more polished, but it's like Blade as a lore building. Like it's an interesting world to live in for the 2 hours.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Punisher is just kind of like, all right, yeah. He's gonna
I feel like Thomas Jane did a really good job.
I think he's a good Punisher.
Yeah.
I mean, also like some of his kills were just fucking like, with the kid and the mine.
Yeah.
I was like, it was coming up to, and I was like, oh, this is the best kill of the movie. And I was like, why? I was like, just watch. It's fucking brutal. Like, it's twisted.
And it's what's interesting is like this like pull between like kind of like with what we were talking about with Blade and Wesley Snipes, like where he has this like stoicism, and then all of a sudden like, motherfucker, what?
Yeah. Are you out of your fucking mind?
Like, and like there's moments with the Punisher in this, and I think the most and like opposite of Frank Castle that we see when he is finally the Punisher is when he's fighting the Russian, and a lot of that fight feels very slapsticky.
Yeah, but it also gives you a very much, he is immortal because he's getting his ass kicked.
Yeah.
And it's like, there is actually 11, because, throughout the movie, he's just,
I'm fine.
Kicking ass and chewing bubble gum,
He's not.
Yeah, and then he like, but it's like, there's actually this moment where you're like, oh shit, like Frank very possibly might die like in a minute. Like and you're like kind of like waiting for the neighbors to help him and they're not doing anything. And you're like, he's getting choked out on your table. Someone do something.
And then they finally step up in the next scene and say, not talking, getting.
I loved him.
Ben Foster.
I loved Quentin. I really liked him as like the henchman. Like I really.
Oh yeah, we didn't even get into that bad use of homophobia.
That was so weird.
It's 2004.
No, but it's also like
2003.
He's blackmailing you for being gay. Like, do you really think Howard Saint gives a shit?
Maybe he does.
Maybe.
We don't know how homophobic he is.
I don't know.
It's the 2000s. Weird. Everybody apparently is scared of their gay friend.
It was that was real. Yeah, we didn't even touch base on that. That was so weird.
Yeah,
that was so weird.
No, especially using that as like a plot device story crutch in such a negative way.
Yeah.
I could imagine like people that were like in the closet in the early 2000s watching that and being like, well, now I don't want to come out.
Yeah.
Like, if that's how people are going to view it.
Yeah.
It's one of those, it puts a negative spotlight on the queer community.
Yeah, 100%. But it's also, it was just like, even besides that, it was just really bizarre. It was just really weird.
What's funny is I don't see it as bizarre because I see that as 2000, early 2000. Like when I was in high school, that was
Oh yeah,
That was the culture.
Yeah, I know.
That's why it's like I don't see it as weird.
I know.
I think it's just
11 in 2000.
distasteful.
I think it's distasteful, but it's just like it. I don't know. I think it was just like kind of like I want to ask like whose idea was that? And
It's probably Jonathan Hensleigh's.
probably
He probably just wrote it in there because
but you know what I mean by saying it's bizarre. It's just like a weird thing in this movie that didn't. I don't know. I thought it was.
I
really
see
bizarre.
what you mean. Yeah, it's another one of those like forced, contrived story devices.
Why is that? Why is that?
Because
in
also
here?
Howard Saint is the original character for this, so that means Quentin is the original character as well. So
Yeah, it's just like it was a weird like. What if
their heads exploded?
What? Yeah. What if Quentin was gay? And this one, I love it. Yeah, make him gay, but also make him blackmailed.
Yeah,
That's great.
Yeah.
It's just like it's so weird.
yeah. I see what you mean by bizarre.
Yeah, it's
in that
very
way,
bizarre.
Yeah.
You're just kind of like, okay, like, I don't give a shit.
All right. Well, let's wrap it up.
But yeah, so 2.5.
Yeah, 2.5.
No.
I'm good with that. We don't know what we're gonna do next week yet. We need to figure that out. We really need to figure that out. We should actually try to figure out the next month or so if we can.
Yeah, let's just get it in the books.
Let's figure out the rest of the year.
No! Let's do it! Okay, anyways, yeah, follow us, like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff.
Give us some reviews.
We would love to hear from you.
YouTube, Instagram,
We're
Spotify.
just talking into
Apple.
an empty cave.
Plato's the cave. Or were these shadows on the wall? There's a shadow by me.
This
Shadows.
is Tommy.
All right, fine. This is Jacob.
Shut up. This is Tommy and Jacob's mixtape.
I've totally spaced out and forgot to say that with you.
All right, let's try that again. This is Tommy.
This is Tommy. Bye.
Goodbye.